Hello, everyone, and welcome to Alive in 25. I am Deb Burkhalter, and I'm here tonight with Gatlin Fenwick. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay. All
me,
right. And you, yes, and your name. Tell them what your name is.
Augie.
August.
Augie. And here's Augie. That is awesome. So we are here tonight, and we are going to be talking about. We were talking about anxiety, and we want to touch on suicide tonight. And so this is something that I really want to. First of all, Gavin, thank you for being here, and I want you to tell me a little bit about this Blake Matthew Mindful Memorial Foundation. Could you tell us about that a little bit, please?
Sure.
What
Well,
is your foundation for?
our foundation is for removing barriers to access to mental health care and by connecting dots between wellness uh, providers and wellness seekers. So, one of our goals is to eliminate or reduce the stigma involved in people opening up and speaking about their mental health issues. And so creating a comfortable, safe space or place or brand that celebrates that discussion and just talks about it all the time. It's just part of our culture. And just
Right.
to help break the ice and get people opening up because we found that it's just it's been a long, very too long that everyone has been very tight-lipped about mental health, and it's changing. The attitudes and trends are changing where people are speaking up more about it now, but we're here to bridge that gap in between those who want to seek help and those that can provide it. And this the whole foundation that we have was started by a suicide when we lost our son in 2020 just after Christmas. um, we lost our son in on December 27th, 2020, 26th, and we inherited $6,000 from him. And we decided to issue a scholarship to a local high school student who was pursuing a career in a mental health field. And then after we did that, we wanted to come up with a fundraiser to raise another $6,000 to do another scholarship. And after our third fundraiser, we had raised over $200,000 and launched this new program where we, instead of just giving out scholarships for college, um, people who are struggling with their mental health, whether it's PTSD or anxiety or depression or it could be anything really. I mean, the whole mental health spectrum is just so wide, and too often we draw a line between, we say mind and body, but it's being that everything is connected, a lot of times those two things just melt right together. And um and and so we launched this new program last September where we provide grants. We call them Tin Man coins, and each Tin Man coin is worth approximately $200, $100 to $200, and it provides a voucher for a service to access mental health treatments, therapies, coaches, practices, community groups. I mean, the the range is so wide as far as like what can help certain people on their path. It might be conventional psychotherapy in a clinic. It could be nature therapy. It could be learning a yoga practice, meditation practice, getting to know other sorts of stress relieving activities like sound therapy and nature therapy and Reiki therapy, hypnotherapy. So just a very wide range of, you never know what might ring someone's bell or what they might be open to experiencing. And then we see them through a three-phase grant process to make sure that we're keeping in touch with them and making sure that they are putting forth the effort needed to find peace within. And then we document it with a podcast throughout the process to show our donors and our partners their return on investment is hearing a story of somebody's success.
Right, right. So are you with that? I know you're in central Wisconsin, and are you having a hard time in the rural area finding partners or resources, or are you having to get really creative with that? I mean, is it matching up at all?
Yeah, well, it's very much this situation where the stars are aligned because Reedsburg, if for whatever reason, a town of 10,000 people, we have and this is just in our provider network, multiple holistic health coaches, um, one fitness center that signed up with 4 psychotherapists, a hypnotherapist, a Reiki therapist, a men's coach, 2 different men's coaches, 2 different women's coaches. So we and our provider network is always growing, but we really have no shortage of wellness partners, and we have no shortage of applicants. So it's very much, it's a good thing as far as like our business model seems to be working out where um, we're not turning anybody away, but we're not having to advertise either. So it's just unfolding naturally, and we seem to be blessed with a very abundant holistic health community here in Reedsburg.
And I think that that is becoming more and more and more throughout the country. I mean, having the holistic approach to mental health, and mental health has been something that, I like statistics. You and I had that conversations today, but the thing is that the suicide rate and so I just want to share a few of these because I think it's important because I was wondering after COVID, where everybody was kind of shut in and, they didn't have a lot of things. Is it something that the suicide or mental health rate went up? Mental health rate, yes. Suicide, it's a steady incline, but I was really surprised but it said the suicide rate is the second leading cause of death in young teens and adults. But, but that's 10 to 34. And this was very interesting to me because 22% of all high school students contemplate suicide, but 20% of them are female. And I
Wait,
was
how many?
thinking 20% of them are females in that age range. And so out of that 22%, and then if we the other statistic that I thought was something, 12.6 million people between the ages of 18 and 25 experience a mental, behavioral, or emotional health episode in the last year. There's a lot of people, so you're not alone. If you are experiencing any kind of mental, behavioral, or emotional episode in your life, you are not alone. And I think that that's a lot of what we need to tell people is that they are not alone in this. And there is so much going on. I think that there's so much space for this. So I'm going to ask folks to put in the comments if you're here tonight. If you have any questions for Gatlin, or put them in the comments. I mean, you're an open book, right? We can ask those questions about the foundation, ask the questions, or anything else that you may have tonight. So our question to everybody tonight is that have you walked or had walked the journey? Suicide is something that we've all been touched by in some way. And I think we all have had some kind of connection to that. But this mental health issue is just, it's like spiraling out of control in some areas. And so, hey, Miranda, nice seeing you. But like I said, as we go through this, how do we get through it? So have you guys been, I don't even know how to say it, touched by somebody? Do you know somebody, and how did you get through it? And I guess that's my question to you as parents. I've had, I have sat across from the desk of parents who have lost their child to suicide. For you guys, what was that process like thank you for doing your foundation. But what was that process like? Do you mind talking about that a little bit? To get to where you're at today, was it a healing thing?
I feel like So I discovered meditation about 15 years ago, and I had slowly ramped up my practice up until 2020. But at the same time, I had been drinking a lot of alcohol and meditating a few times a week and just kind of being the same Gatlin I always was. And then when Blake took his life, I knew I had to a fork in the road. I could go north or south,
Mm.
and I knew that if I went the wrong direction, it would just be more drinking and spiraling downward emotionally to the bottom of my chart where my death would probably have been. And then I could go the other direction and really take a deep dive. For me it was yoga and meditation is what I was drawn to. So it's different for everybody. These this peace within can be found in 100 different places. But for me, it was knowing that I had to look within. I had to detach. Also, I had to come to acceptance of what was. It really, and then it dawned on me that that's the problem with everything. Everybody's problem with anything is always that we're we wish something was different than it is.
Right.
Situation that we're currently don't want to be in. We feel like it will be better if this or this happens, or if this comes. It's all external. And so when it finally dawned on me that the peace is within, and the acceptance of what is, no matter what that is. I mean, it changes all the time, but it never has been, never will be anything other than what it is right now in our lives.
Yeah.
It's never behind us. It's never in front of us because it always unfolds in the now. And
Right. And so as that was unfolding in the now and looking back, I guess, and asking tough questions here, but looking back, and all the struggles that you had to get to the now and to get to that peace inside you, um, you know, where, you've come so far. I guess that's what I'm. People can get through this. They can do that, but like you said, they have to find that way to find that inner peace, or whichever highway they choose to take, whichever road they choose to take. And that is a tough thing to do at times. We do have some things here, and Sheila has said that, I'm a depressed person. I got therapy, and I still struggle with wanting to go to the pond, taking my car and plunging. What you recognize. Um, and Sheila has been with us on the porch for a very long time. Sheila, I'm glad you're here tonight. And Gatlin is a wealth of information. And so Sheila is from Iowa. And so but whatever we can help you with, Sheila, we'll connect with. Let's connect after the video, Sheila, and you and I will have a little chat tonight. So we'll see how that goes. But we are going to be praying for you and lifting you up. And Miss Brenda, I'm happy to say that I filled out an application, and she is a recipient of a Tin Man coin. Yay, Brenda! Woo! And Blake would be so proud of his dad and his family for helping people in need and for the scholarships. Blake was a great young man, and so Blake is Gatlin's son, who the foundation is founded after. So, and
Blake,
Miranda.
Blake loved Brenda very much. And well,
Aw,
back to that first question, quick. What do you recognize? Um, I it's like a mirror. Okay, like these thoughts are the thoughts. We need to understand that thoughts are not ours. Like we think that they are because they're thoughts that are in our heads, but they're it's no different than a cloud coming in from the sky. And like you don't control it. It's a thought that comes in. you can look at it, you could jump on that thought train and ride that as long as you want, or you can watch it drift by. And like I think I've learned to observe my thoughts, be a witness to my thoughts, be aware of my thoughts, but recognize that they're not my thoughts. They're just thoughts. And some of them can be so wild and crazy and stupid and brilliant and all the things. And we just don't pay too much attention to them. Like, other than being aware that they're there, those thoughts come in. Okay, what does depression, I think, can be looked at as a good thing, because it's an indicator, it's a check engine light that goes on inside of us, and it begs us to look within. And
Okay.
there's a Chinese proverb that I love that says the only thing more difficult than finding a needle in a pile of rice is looking in the wrong pile of rice. And if what we seek is not within the center of our own hearts, then we're looking in the wrong pile. You know, the the contentment and the peace and the happiness, it is not outside, it is not external, it is not in the past, it is not in the future, it is not over there, it is not in her, it is not in him, it is within our present moment. So just when those thoughts come in, don't judge them, um don't give them much validation, and don't feel guilty about having that thought. And if you do feel guilty, don't feel guilty about feeling guilty.
There you go, Sheila. That's great advice. And and sometimes connecting with that peace within. We kind of had that conversation today a little bit too about connecting. And I just thought it was awesome when you were talking about the internet. We can connect with the spirit. We connect with um, whatever you call, if it's God, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit was working within us. We call it a lot of different things, but like you said, sometimes people think connecting with the Spirit, but then we use this and we can understand that. I love the idea of that, the whole thing of connecting that. So thank you for sharing that. Now Miranda says here, she says a healthy way to find peace: yoga, meditation, and prescribed medicines. So there's a lot of different ways to find peace. And like you said, each person is individual and has to find it for themselves,
Right.
and has to find what works for them. I think that is that's the one thing too, that like all of the different practices, what I think is I'm excited about the foundation is the fact that you are not saying there's one way to do this. So we're not just throwing everybody into a yoga class. We're not just throwing anybody into, psychotherapy. That is not it. You have a vast variety. Now, how do you decide which scholarships they get if they get that Tin Man coin? Is that what you call it, Tin Man
Yeah,
coin?
if they get the coin, well, there the two things. They fill out an application when they originally apply, which when they do that, they select different sorts of therapies that they might be interested in. But then during the onboard interview process, we fill out a holistic health wheel, and we look at what areas of their life they want to work on the most. And sometimes that's kind of an enlightening exercise, because we see we it just begs some questions that might not have been asked otherwise, like how often do you cook at home? How many friends do you have? Do you have a good social life? And it's just so common that people aren't actively engaged in a community, and we recognize the extreme power of a good community. And whether that's just a new sort of therapist or coach that you meet, or a group of 10 people that meets once a month, that community is so powerful. And it's also just so missing from so many of our lives. Now I forgot the question. So then we go through another list during that interview process, and then they pick like their top 5 therapies or treatments that they would be open to learning more about or attending. And then we look at our provider list and we see what's available. And then we give them like the phase one coin is, you can look at it as like a sample pack where they can go dip their toes in a couple different things and try them out. And a lot of these facilitators will do free consultations for the first meeting. So they can kind of just go dip their toes in and then complete that and come back for round two. And maybe they said they found that they really enjoy their community yoga class and breath work. And so then their next coin can just be more of that. So it's sort of just giving them a sample, letting them find something that they like, and then giving them more of that. And if they don't find anything they like, then um, give them a couple more options for their to dip their toes in, because there's so many different things to learn about, and they don't all come at a cost. They're not always expensive. And a lot of our applicants, they're not applying because they want financial assistance to do this. They're applying because there's a social barrier to accessing this care, or there's just plain lack of knowledge of not knowing about what's available. So it's not always a financial barrier that we're helping people overcome.
Right. Well, and I'm finding that, I mean, some of the therapies that people have mentioned that they're doing, and I know week we went on a little spa day, and we ended up having, a foot detox, which was really gross, but really cool at the same time. And then in the Himalayan the salt rooms, and sitting there just to relax and finding some peace in that is just, there are a lot of different ways to find peace and relaxation, and also to find to find ways of dealing with mental health. And I think that with mental health, the thing is that we have to deal with ourselves within, and that's sometimes where we don't want to touch. Those are feelings and emotions that we do not want people to be. Don't go there, and
Right.
But we have to go there in order to find peace. And like I said, there's a lot of different therapies out there. There's a lot of ways to do it. And it's just all a matter of moving things around in our lives and finding the resources. Like I said, I had no idea that there were so many resources out there to help with this. And it's like, and now I open the newspaper and, oh, here's another one opening. Here's another one opening. There's a lot of little places that are doing a lot of therapies. The one in Elroy just opened, they're doing outdoor therapy, I believe. So it's just a good, there's a lot of things changing, and it's not traditional doctors and medications necessarily to get us where we need to be.
There
So,
is.
There, and Miranda says she loves the holistic approach, and Brenda was wondering, is there a deadline for the applications, or are the applications for the coins done for now?
Well, we're almost done. There's, I think, 5 coins left that we can give out for until February, and then the applications turn off at the end of February until quarter 2. And so the quarter 2 of this year will be our 3rd grant round, and we just keep improving it every time. And I'm sure this next round will look slightly different than this round, but we just aim to get a little bit better, a little bit more efficient every time. So
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it will change as it goes, as you evolve in this. It's great. Mary Cruz said that she's never been comfortable opening up, but she thinks that her job does offer, and this is another thing too, check into what your jobs offer, because a lot of times there are resources there that you don't even know about. So, and they may be at no cost to you. So, and Miranda said she loves her therapist. That's awesome. Miranda, who is your therapist? Like I said, just let us know if you can put the name in. Just, I think it's good to share that with the folks in the comments. So, but yeah, so, but like I said, so as we're talking about this now, anxiety. Do you find folks coming in to like fill applications? What's their anxiety level about the first meeting? I mean, I'm sure you guys are making it very comfortable. They have a really awesome office. I went there today. So, but how you have people come into your office after they fill out the application online. Is that right?
That's
And
right.
then that's when they go through the thing. So there's a phone conversation, I'm assuming, before that you meet, or there's some kind
No,
of.
there's just an online application, and then the next meet, then it's a couple emails are exchanged, and then we meet in person. And yeah, um, everyone is, anxiety is high. I mean, I think anxiety is high in the applicants in general, just by the nature of, because anxiety is like is like the I don't know, precursor or mirror image of depression, right? It's not always, I feel that people are usually more open to admitting to having anxiety than they are to having depression. But you really, when the mind is that, when the mind is that busy and spiraling that fast into fear and worry and doubt, it just, depression seems like it's an inevitable next step from there. and
Right.
and people are feeling better after the meetings themselves. Just the 30-minute onboard meeting, I think just hearing the list of all those different things that are out there makes them feel really good. It probably turns a couple light bulbs on that weren't shining before. They're like, oh, I never thought of that, or I never equated physical activity with mental health, or I never equated home cooking with mental health. And so just connecting a few of those dots and firing those new neurotransmitters, creating new pathways in the brain is what that first meeting does. Because it, and just the fact that people apply and hit that send button is a huge step. And so
Right.
of just time and time again, we hear applicants say, I am so proud of myself for just applying. And we're so proud of them for doing that too, because that's taking that first step is the hardest part. And then they come in and they talk and they open up. And so it's, I encourage whoever just made that comment, not usually one to open up. Well, you just find that person that you are comfortable opening up to, and open the can of worms, and the stuff is going to come out, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a release that your body has been waiting for.
Yeah, well, and I heard, so a couple weeks ago, I was sitting there and I heard that, a lot of people say, well, that's a trigger for me. And this is something, that triggers my emotions. And so this one, it was a therapist, she was using this. But anyway, her thing is, we can either have memories from our past trigger us into negative things, or we can take those same memories and be inspired by, look what I got through. It all is a mindset. Is it inspiration, or is it a trigger for negativity? And so if we could take some of those out, and so Mary Cruz also says here that her anxiety has been outrageous bad the last few weeks. I think there's a lot of anxiety in just the atmosphere right now. There's a lot of things going on. So I don't think, Mary Cruz, that you are alone in that anxiety. And I don't know, it just seems like I don't know if the temperature or the pressure around us or whatever, there's a lot of things going on. So came to bother you on these comments. Oh, hi, Cheryl. But anyway, so like I said, I think with that, I think there is a lot. So in the comments, the one thing I want you guys to do is put in the comments, how do you get through times when your anxiety is bad, your pressures are bad? What are you doing yourself? And Brenda says that her anxiety has been really bad too, and depression. So this is something that, like I said, we're not alone in this. This is not something that if you're depressed, if you are feeling sad or loneliness, this is not something that you're by yourself. And that's why we're here. That's why we created this Alive in 25. That's why you have your foundation, to help people feel better about that. So Mary Cruz said she, the music and sleep, that helps her through that. And Miranda says that she enjoys cooking and cleaning and talking to a friend, and that helps with her anxiety. So what else, guys? What else in the comments? For me, it's really taken just some quiet time just to because my world is loud. There's a lot going on all the time. And for me, when I feel anxious, it really is just taking some quiet time away. Um, what about you, Gatlin? How do you take care of your anxiety? How do you deal with that yourself?
A couple different ways that meditation always feels good. I love taking a bath and meditating, or going into a sauna or a steam room at the health club. Exercise is amazing. My all-time favorite, though, is to just go sit in the woods.
One with nature. One
Yeah.
with nature. That's awesome. And Brenda said that she likes helping people, reading, and soft Zen music. It sounds great all the way around. And Cheryl said that she sews and gardening. Um, and uh, and Miranda says, life's so hard, and I'm so proud of everyone making positive strides to make it a little easier. And that's what it is too, is working together, realizing that you're not alone in this, that you're not dumb, you're not, a misfit or anything else. We are all in this together because we all experience from time to time anxiety and depression. And I don't know anybody that doesn't have some of those little ups and downs in their lives. So, um, and Mary Cruz wants to know where you're located, Gatlin.
I'm out of Reedsburg, Wisconsin, which is about an hour from Madison, Wisconsin. And I just wanted, with that question, um, we don't discriminate on applicants based on their location, and a lot of our providers, um, I don't like that word, wellness partners, are work remotely. So don't hesitate, you guys, to try to snatch up the last 5 coins.
There you go. There you go. And they can find the application on your website.
Yes, right. The website is Blake's Tin Man, like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz.
Let
Blake's
me
Tinman.com.
So BLAKES
Yep.
tinman.com.
Yep.
All right. Let me add this. Let me make sure it's right. I will have you. All right. So Blake's, is that right?
Yep. You got it.
Okay, so guys, you can go on to blakestinman.com, and if you're interested in, there's 5 more Tin Man coins for the scholarships, and just to see kind of what kind of treatments are out there, or what kind of things are out there to help you feel better about yourself, and to help you feel better about the life that you are living, because sometimes we exist and not live, and so yeah, Mary Cruz used to live in Reedsburg just a couple years ago.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, and Miranda said they're looking, she loves Reedsburg and she'd love to move there. So, like I said, man, you're just going to have everybody come your way. Everybody will come down there. But like I said, so if anybody has questions for Gatlin, please put them in the comments. And Miranda said Tin Man coins, those are cute because of the story of the Tin Man. Is it because of the story of the Tin Man? She wants to know why they're called Tin Man coins, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So
So
why Tin Man coins?
what happened was we revived the triathlon as our first fundraiser. We brought back to life a triathlon that used to be hosted at where we live in Reedsburg back in the 80s. And it was called the Tin Man Triathlon. So we renamed it the Blake's Tin Man Triathlon, and then the foundation got formed, and we started to call the foundation the Blake's Tin Man Foundation, and now we have like 10 different names to go by, but it's it's Blake's
I was kind of
Foundation.
noticing that. Yeah.
It's Blake's. So it's, if we want to shorten it, it's Blake's Foundation. The event is Blake's Tin Man. The full name is Blake Matthew Mindful Memorial Foundation. So um, it's just mindfulness, wellness, mental health, Blake's. So
That's awesome. And so it just kind of encompasses a whole lot of things. And so I was reading you had put together this report. And so I kind of reading that. The coolest thing about this is like you said, the scholarships, and then that morphed into having scholarships for people for resources instead of just schooling. And because I think both are so important, that they certainly go hand in hand. So, but is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about the foundation, about mental health, of how people maybe can, if they okay, so if they can't connect with your foundation and they can't get on the scholarship, what is some advice that you'd give them to how to seek out these resources in their area?
I guess I've had the bias or the idea that Reedsburg is special because we have a lot of wellness providers here. But the more I'm learning, it's not that unique. Like there's, like you were mentioning, these holistic practitioners are popping up everywhere. And even I met an 85-year-old man at the gym a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me how his doctor, who tries to prescribe him a lot of pharmaceuticals, was explaining to him that pharmaceuticals are going away and someday will be a thing of the past because this holistic wellness, an ancient way of medicine, is making its way back to the norm. And that was really interesting for to hear from an 85-year-old man who that's his observation, and that's what his his healthcare provider is telling him right now. So just
Mhm.
look around. You might not see them driving down the street because they can't afford to pay much rent, so they're going to be hidden. um just I don't know where. Start googling. Look on our website and look at the different types of holistic therapies, and then Google that word in your area. Like look for a holistic health coach, look for a Reiki therapist, look for a yoga studio, look for nature therapy. And out of all that, if you can't find anyone to go help you, my biggest piece of advice is take a long walk in the woods and sit down and just be quiet and let yourself think, but then start watching your thoughts to the point where you're a witness to them instead of being chasing them. You're just watching them, and then they drift in and out, and eventually there's going to the space in between the thoughts is going to start to get wider and wider and wider, and that's when the peace comes. That's when you can hear the whisper of the universe. You can't hear those whispers
Mhm.
if all you hear is your own noise.
Right. Yep. And the world is loud, and so finding that quiet moment is precious. It really is. It is so precious to do that. So if you guys got your kids, your grandkids, your job, your life, your whatever, as you're living that and you're going through that, even finding 5 minutes sometime of quiet is important. And if you can go out in the woods and sit down and do that, even more important. But if you don't have that opportunity, even taking 5 minutes, maybe going outside, letting the sun shine on your face, and maybe not tonight or today because it was a little chilly outside, but seriously, letting that, getting some vitamin D, having some other things in your life is so important. So, and the one thing is that Miranda was wondering if programs, do they accept Badger Care, and because she said that people are tired of paying money to become sicker. The side effects outweigh the benefits at times. And I think sometimes because we don't know any different, we go to the same kind of treatments over and over. And so, but all we can do is continue to add resources. And I think we will be doing that on our page. So if anybody has any questions, can we give them your email? Would that be okay if they wanted to email you directly?
Yeah, absolutely.
What would be the best way if they had any questions directly for you?
Yeah, Blake's Tin Man at gmail.com.
Okay. All right. So, and I will add that after we're done here, I will add that. So Blake's Tin Man at gmail.com. And
Yes.
and so, but I want to thank you for being here tonight. I like to stick within the 45 minutes ish kind of thing. If anybody has any other questions, please put them in the comments. Once again, I do want people to know that they are important and they are necessary just the way they are. You are not here by mistake, and there is a purpose for you. And connecting with the spirit, connecting with yourself, finding that peace is so important in order to figure out what your purpose is. And as we all grow and find that out, it is it's hard sometimes because the world tells us so many negative things. You're not good enough. You're not brave enough. You're not smart enough. You're not skinny enough. You're not rich enough. There's all of these negative things when we know that making a list ourselves of who we are, that's even hard to do. Make a list and look in the mirror, say, I am good enough. I am smart enough. I am rich enough. I am, pretty enough. I am whatever. Those are really hard for us to do because the world is telling us something different. And now Miranda was using this. She took 30 minutes a day. And what did you call that, Miranda? So anyway, 30 minutes of self-love. That's what it was, a day. And if we could find 30 minutes to love ourselves each day, our worlds would change, in my opinion, because we needed to do that. So Mary Cruz has already submitted her application. Go Mary Cruz.
Cool.
Didn't listen. But like I said, I think there are so many things that we can do. But once again, thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing your story and sharing your foundation with us. And I'm going to be praying hard for this foundation because that is a huge plan. And what you're taking on is something that is just so beautiful. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
No, well, thank you for saying so, and you're very welcome. I feel honored to be here to do this in my son's name, and you mentioned just taking that 5 minutes, whether you have time to walk in the woods or not, and that is so important. Even if it is just 5 minutes, and it's the self love. If you have 30 minutes to self love, that is beautiful. If you only have 5 minutes, that's okay too. But that's when we fill our cups up, and we're constantly pouring from our cup, pouring into our jobs and our families and our everything else, and it's so often it's everyone else but us. So if we don't, it's not selfish. It's or it is selfish. It's whatever. It's not bad. It's the best thing you can do for yourself is take that selfish time to self love yourself, and then our cups are full, and then we can pour. Because if we're pouring from empty cups, things go haywire in a hurry.
Right. Well, and I think too, I don't think it's selfish. I think it's necessary. And because if we're sick ourselves and we're not in a good place, we cannot help others very well. So,
right.
But all right. Well, I am going to wrap this up. Thank you once again for coming and joining us tonight. Hold on one more second. I've been saying that I have to get better about. Miranda has a daughter with a rare disease. But anyway, she's been saying that she has to get better about taking care of me so I can be the best for Emerald. Absolutely, Miranda. That is so. I think that is very necessary that you're doing that, because Emerald is having a special needs child is a lot of work. So, and taking that on as a parent it is a gift and a challenge all at the same time. So there you go. But anyway, guys, thank you so much once again, Gatlin, for being here. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight. If you have any other questions, private message me, and I will hook you up with the Blake Foundation, and we'll get you guys there. But once again, thank you for doing what you're doing. God bless. Everybody have a good night. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.